The Evermore podcast is now sponsored by WFST Total Compliance. WFST provides fire safety requirements UK-wide to prepare you and your employees should the worst happen. Do what you do best and visit wfst.co.uk today. Enjoy the episode. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with another post-match reaction and another defeat. That's 3 on the spin for Newcastle United. This is becoming absolutely depressing, and it's also thrown me back to the horrible years. I feel like I'm doing a See You Next Tuesday special here, talking about Newcastle United losing games, but that today was possibly the worst I think I've ever seen us play under Eddie Howe. It's got to be up there. That Leicester game we got our arses handed to us. It was really unenjoyable. We were second best of every single thing today. Brighton, rightly so, deserved to win this game. We were absolutely shocking. I'm going to get stuck into what I think about it in just a quick. It's going to turn into one of my rants, I think, this one. A quick post-match stroke rant about that absolutely turgid, shite performance by Newcastle United. Just before I get stuck into this, if you are new to the channel, give us a click, subscribe. We've got over 5,000 subs now, loads of room for you guys and ever more, loads of content, usually a lot more cheery than what I'm about to do, but yeah, loads of Newcastle United content. And at the minute, it's a tough time to be a Newcastle fan. We are live tonight. Join us in the comments. We've got loads of you flying in there already. I'm going to throw this one up there from 66. He just said, what we do best is attack. I don't understand why we sat off and waited on midfield playing like 4-year-olds. You can throw a blanket over them. Credit to Brighton. They were brilliant. They were brilliant. Absolutely George's in the house. Bad to worst team. Simply just isn't working. I'm going to get stuck into that in a minute, George. We're after bad performances to choose from. I nearly threw something. And we're starting playing across our own goal mouth. I think Malcolm's saying that Howe has learned nothing from last week, which is a fair comment. That's very worrying. If we want to be the best, we need another manager. Maybe that's a little bit premature, but you know what? The pressure is being turned up on anyhow, mate, 100%, and he's got to deal with that. One more comment before I give you my take on this. So James is saying lots of players overachieved last season and too much perhaps placed in them. Great comment. Transfer window looks a little naive, particularly defensively. Burn was atrocious today, and less said about Matty. I actually don't think Matty was the worst a lot of them, mate, but let's get stuck into. So if you don't know already, I'll show you how we lined up. So this is how we lined up. Totally unchanged yet again, apart from the forced change of Sven Botman missing, which is a big blow for Newcastle United. Dan Burn slipped into centre half. We saw how fucking rotten that was. Matt Targett came in at left back. He wasn't great. I don't think he was particularly shit. He was all right. He made a couple of good challenges. Obviously, Lewis Hall isn't fit enough to start. But again, that front three, I'm scratching my head here. I really am. What the hell has Miggy Almiron got on Eddie Howe? Has he got naked pictures of him in a fucking lap dancing club or something? The guy can't kick his own arse, and you keep picking him. I don't understand it. You know, yes, he hit the bar on the post last week, but, you know, people are talking about the Alisson save and all that, but he plays most of the game with his fucking slippers on, and he can't finish simple chances, and it costs us week in, week out. It certainly is now, and it's really pissing me off. Obviously, looking at the Brighton side there, you know, Ferguson was their danger man. We saw that for damn sure. None of their new signings were signed in time to sign there, but a decent side, Brighton, as I said in the preview, and they definitely went on to show it. But I mean, just getting straight into the nitty gritty of things, really. The midfield was absolutely atrocious today, absolutely atrocious. Joe Litton didn't even look like he was fit. I don't know why he played him. I don't know why he hasn't started Elliot Anderson or Sean Longstaff. Sean Longstaff looked much better when he come on. He got his energy there. You know, he was all over the place. He sets Callum Wilson's consolation goal up, but Joe Litton looked off the pace right from the jump. Bruno was honking today. Him and Tonali, something's not right there. I don't think them two can play together. I really don't. We've had this great game against Villa for the first game of the season. We've all got a little bit carried away with ourselves. But I don't think Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali work together. I really don't. They both seem to be some kind of like hybrid midfielder that can be a 6 or be an 8, but neither of them, seemingly when they play together, is willing to go sit into the 6. I don't know where Bruno was playing. He certainly wasn't a 6. He was a fucking 7.2 or something. He was over here, doing whatever. Tonali is, running up and down the channels. He's trying to make something happen. He looked good in the first half for a bit, but the goal itself, the first goal, Tonali's massively to blame for this, 100% to blame for this. I mean, the shot isn't closed down in the first place from Billy Gilmore. Then Tonali flicks this little leg out, this pathetic little leg out, then doesn't go back out to close down the shot. The ball then falls to Evan Ferguson, who's got all the time and space in the world. Nobody's around him, and he slots it under Nick Pope, who started this calamity with a horrendous pass. It was the easiest ball to play at Trippier, but he somehow managed to fuck it up. Something is not right with Nick Pope. He does not look himself, because that was atrocious. That put us under necessary pressure, and that's what led to the goal. Tonali's to blame, Pope's to blame, Burns to blame. They're all just sitting around there, staring at space, doing fucking nothing about it. And it's a simple goal. Dreadful. Brighton were all over us in this game. And the only person, I think, well, only two people from our side who actually looked that were going to be capable of doing anything was Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak got in a few times earlier on. He probably should have done a little bit better with the first chance. Second time, he squares it across, and Gordon's just maybe ran a little bit too far ahead of him. But between them two, they were the only two that were going to do anything for Newcastle United. And Joe Linton was just honking. So I mean, we get to the end of the first half, and everyone's saying there needs to be changes. I was watching another fans channel half times. I can't stand listening to Sky talk absolute nonsense. And I actually said I think Longstaff should come on energy, and they kind of shot me down a bit and said, Longstaff's terrible, but I thought he looked a lot better when he come on. He certainly did more than Bruno did. But then Tonali gets taken off. I don't get that. Tonali's taken off. I'm trying to see when he was actually substituted, to be honest with you. So let's just have a look at the actual substitutions here. So Sandro Tonali, when was he hooked? Sandro Tonali was hooked. I can't see on this dreadful thing. Where am I? Here we go. Newcastle line. There we go. Where are we? Sandro Tonali. He was hooked. I don't even know. Where was he hooked? He was taken off for Sean Longstaff on 58 minutes. Tonali was taken off. Why? Why did you take Tonali off? Why didn't you take Bruno off? He was shit. He was doing nothing in the game. I don't understand what was going on with that whatsoever. So he takes off Tonali on 58 minutes. Joe Linton come off in 58 minutes, which was probably, certainly 14, 15 minutes longer than he should have done. Should have been off at the first half, really. He then takes off Isak on 74th minute, which I don't understand why, and brings on Harvey Barnes for Isak. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible substitutions again from Eddie Howe. I'm sorry, but just shit. When Wilson went through the middle and Isak went left, I thought something was going to happen there. I thought it might have actually been fairly decent, but nothing happened. But going back to the other goals, really, just to kind of smash it all together with some big, massive steaming pile of shit, which is what it was from our sense of it. Brilliant for Brighton. I mean, I do like Evan Ferguson. I think he's a really, really hot young striker. I think he could very well be that next big sale that Brighton make. He's got loads of goals and he's big, he's strong. He had Burns' life. He's got good reaction, good movement, good finisher. I think he'll be a smashing player. I'd quite like him at Newcastle if we'll get a finger out where our Stan Ashworth and stop signing fucking right backs for 30 million when there's other key positions that need strength. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But I think he'd be a good signing for a lot of Premier League teams with Evan Ferguson. So the second goal, he hits it from range and fair crack done, but nobody closes him down. Not one player goes to close him down. I'm absolutely dumbfounded by this. What are you playing at? And then the third goal is basically a carbon copy of the second goal, but he's just a little bit closer. And I think it hits Share and goes in the bottom corner. And the lad's got a hat-trick. Quite interesting that they gave him that, because most of the time they take it away from players. But it was his first ever senior hat-trick. Fair play to him for an 18-year-old lad. Don't screw it and take it off him. But just shocking. Absolutely shocking. All through the whole game, really. I think Newcastle United were absolutely disgraceful. They really were. I think Eddie Howe has to answer some serious questions here. He really does. Let's just have a look at some of your comments here, guys. James is saying there, Bruno's form is really worrying. No idea what's up. He looks a shadow of himself. I don't think he can play with Tonali, James. I think we've basically signed a player that's very identical to the player that was already there. Really stupid move that. Why didn't we sign defensive midfield? That's the question I want to have answered. But, are the keepers of the spoken word of Newcastle United the ones who lambast you for having a problem? Are they okay with me asking that question? Because 3 defeats on the spin yeah, that question is going to come out. Why didn't you sign a backup centre half? So when Botman gets injured, you haven't got to rely on Dan Burn with his lack of movement. Why have we not got a number 6? Where you look at the last 3 games, Manchester City, Liverpool, and today, you needed a number 6 to protect the back foot, and we ain't fucking got one. We have got one, actually. No fucker wants to sign him, and Isaac Hayden, maybe he'll be deployed back as a number 6. But that's a massive mistake in the transfer window. Me and Mark are going to get stuck into that on Monday night. That's a huge hole that the club have left, that number 6 there, and that is definitely something that needs to be answered. It really, really is. So, again, that's what Ian's saying there. Livramento, Barnes, wasted money. We needed centre-backs. I don't think Barnes is a waste of money. I think Barnes is a good player. But again, why are you playing Miguel Almiron when he's offering you fuck all on the right? Move Gordon to the right, put Barnes left. If we'd started with Barnes and Gordon today, we could have even been 1 or 2 in front, I think, because they would have found that space. I really do believe that. Comment there from Dave. Brighton better in every department today. Yeah, Seagulls. The Seagulls have escaped the Mackhams. Don't quite know what that means, mate, to be fair. Yeah, absolutely, Tim. I'm having a rant. I'm absolutely fed up with it. George is right. Yeah, rant. I am worried. I don't know if it's worrying sure that I'm ranting or not, mate, but that's definitely what I'm doing. Tim saying that's a wake-up call as our balloon has been pricked. Yeah, I don't disagree, mate. I do not disagree at all. All these people are getting way too excited amongst themselves for the Champions League draw. It's the dream draw. Oh, yeah, we're going to top the group and all that. After that today, top the group, you must be having a fucking laugh. You're not going to top the group. Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, and AC Milan would watch that and piss themselves laughing. They'd probably play, the fucking over 40s coach up front against Dan Burn. He'd probably have more pace and movement to beat Dan Burn in a race after seeing that today. So maybe that's a reality check for some of you lot with your heads in the fucking clouds. Yes, it's great to have these wonderful draws against these massive teams in Europe, right? But if you get spanked 5-0 every single game, it won't be that enjoyable, will it? Let's be honest with you. So moving through some of your comments there. Yeah, thanks, George. He's a source of emotional support for you right now as a fan. I'm glad we can help you with that, mate. I was scrolling down trying to get some more of your comments. Yeah, what have we got here? 2 man saying, why do I need to swear? The kids are in the room. Well, mate, I'm sorry. I'm pissed off and I swear. That's what the channel's all about. Don't watch it around the kiddies, mate. So, I'm not going to apologize for that. They say Bible TV, mate. This is Evermore YouTube channel. So if you don't like it, go watch someone else. I'm not interested in that shit. Right. So we've got Jay Devlin saying, I said before the game, a loss is pressure on big time. This is awful. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, mate. It is awful. What's really annoying me is a lot of these people, like I say, the keepers of the spoken word. They're not allowed to criticize Eddie Howe, the owners or the players whatsoever, even when you've had a crap game like that. No, you need to criticize every single one of them. Because the transfer window is closed and it does look naive. There's massive holes in the squad. Stevie Wonder can see there's holes in our squad. There's no backup centre-halves outside of Botman and Shaw that are decent enough quality to play against a top team. And make no mistake about it, Brighton are a top team, right? Brighton are a very, very good side. They're unlucky not to finish in the Champions League spaces. They've started the season fantastically. They've got a great manager who plays brilliant stuff. Great team, full of energy, and they battered us today. They absolutely wiped their arse with us today. So, these questions need to be answered, right? No point in high-fiving each other and backslapping over the Adidas deal and painting 3 lines all over the town when you ain't got backup centre-halves and you ain't got backup defensive midfielders either. I'm sorry, but that is the case. That is the situation that we're in now. And them are questions that need to be answered by Eddie Howe, in my opinion. That could have been a Steve Bruce performance that today. I'm not joking. That's how bad that I felt about that today. Sean saying Isak missed some sitters right from the start. Yeah, I think you're right, Sean. Isak should have done better. But again, I mean, he's half the time he's trying to make his own luck, really. No one seems to be finding Isak anymore with these passes. He's gone from not being able to miss, really, to look if he's got a chance. I mean, how much is this team missing Joe Willock's energy, by the way, as well, and his ability to get us up the park and be an attacking threat? I looked at that midfield. It was pedestrian. It was flat. It was slow. It was lazy. It was sloppy. Everything about it was just dreadful. You're looking at them midfield 3, right? And outside of that Villa game, them 3 have not played well together, right? So this is where Eddie Howe needs to look at that and readdress the balance there. I've asked the question before, and I'm going to ask it again, right? Where is Louis Miley? Even on the bench, where is Louis Miley, right? I know he's only 17 years old, but he was outstanding in pre-season. He uses the ball well. He's comfortable on it. He's got a good eye for a pass, and he can sit back and defend and be disciplined enough to put a foot in, which is something that Bruno Guimaraes is not doing right now, right? Never mind all this lambasting NUFC 360. Maybe they were right to ask that question a week or so ago before everyone absolutely railroaded them about it. Bruno's been stinking this season. He's offered nothing, absolutely nothing. I was looking at his stats there before to try and figure out how good he played, right? And I'm looking at his stats here, and he had, what do you have, 64 touches in 90 minutes. Passing accuracy is 92%, right? So when you look at it, it seems all right. Key passes, 1. But then you're looking at his other, his aerials and his ground duels. He won 8 of his 12 duels, and he made 3 tackles. So when you look at it, it actually looks like he's done all right. But let me tell you this for a statistic in terms of Dan Burn, right? So Dan Burn won 1 of his 7 ground duels, 1 against Evan Ferguson. He absolutely battered Dan Burn today, right? And that tells you where the problem is right there in terms of Dan Burn. Backup centre half and all that, yeah, fine. Maybe against maybe middle or lower league opposition, but not against top teams like Brighton, who are pushing for the top 6. They're going to absolutely annihilate Dan Burn, and that's exactly what it did today. So I'm sorry. And again, yeah, that's a great comment there, Ian, as well. Shah is injured pretty much every single game, and the physios haven't picked up on this. Why have we not signed a right side centre half? All this FFP talk and all this. Chelsea are off spending £1 billion over 3 windows. Our fucking owners fund part of Chelsea. What's all that about? The Saudi League's whacking money left, right, and centre, buying these big players in the Premier League. Loan us 1 or 2 back. Talk about creative transfer market, Darren Eales. Do that, because you've got massive holes in this squad. Me and Mark are going to get right into this more on Monday and look at these holes in the squad. But when you lose 3 games on the spin like that, you're going to have to answer questions. And Eddie Howe knows the price on the ticket. So all these little fannies going, oh, no, Eddie Howe, he walks on board. Yeah, Eddie Howe's done an amazing job. He's the best manager we've had since Sir Bobby Robson. But these last 3 games have been absolutely shit. And he has to answer tough questions. And that's the price on the ticket as a football manager. And Eddie Howe knows that. And if you lot are naive enough to think that you shouldn't ask him questions when you lose games like that one and the Liverpool one, then maybe you're watching the wrong sport. Maybe you should watch Tiddlywinks and not watch football, because football's an opinion game, and that's what it's all about, right? Everyone's allowed an opinion, whether it be left, right, or whatever. That's football for you. You don't have to agree or disagree with it, but don't pull people down for having that opinion. Comment there from Graham. I think our midfield seems lost 100%. Graham, no rhythm. Not seeming to know where each other's are. Yeah, I mean, honestly, they couldn't pass wind, the 3 of them, I think, between them. Tonali was probably the best of the 3. I thought he was busy. I thought he was trying to make stuff happen. But again, I don't know where he plays. We've seen it sign him. I thought he was this like brilliant, number 6, this deep lying midfielder who was smashing the tackles and then start the play. He seems to just be up and down, like a horse draws, trying to get in the box and score goals and all sorts of stuff. Exactly what Bruno was doing when we signed him. So I don't quite know where the discipline is here. Who's going to play number 6? Honestly, I don't know that. Who is going to play number 6? And we're looking at the squad, and there's no defensive midfielders in the squad at all, outside of Isaac Hayden, who's not even in the squad. So we made a massive mistake there. So maybe Eddie Howe can work his magic like he did on Joe Linton. Maybe he can turn Joe Longstaff into number 6. Maybe he can turn Louis Miley into number 6. But one of them has to play in the 6th role. You have to have somebody sitting in front of the back four, especially when you're against high energetic teams like Brighton, who are going to come at you like that and play through the lines. You cannot have 3 midfielders all charging forward, trying to make the same runs. Dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. It really is. What we've got here, looking at more of your comments here, guys. What Sai in the comments, we need wholesale changes. Play Livramento and Hall at fullbacks. Play Trippier at 6. Well, that's an interesting one. Tonali and Bruno just in front of them. Barnes and Gordon on the wings. I do agree with that one 100%. Between Isaac and Wilson, or Isaac and Wilson. I mean, to be fair, I thought when Isaac went to left, Wilson through middle, we looked a bit better. Wilson got his goal today, finished it well, was busy. But again, there was nothing happening. We just weren't holding on to the ball. Absolutely not holding on to the ball. Comment there from Adrian, wheel off. Who's Martin Ferguson? Absolutely. The threat, such an important part, reaching the fixture, Chris. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, Ferguson was, I mean, the thing is, like I say, his second and his third goal are pretty much a carbon copy of each other, which is just embarrassing, really embarrassing for the lads. It really is. Vincent saying he's been crying for Wilson to start. Making him drop, going in the spot. Eddie seems to have his favourites. 100%. I think people are getting games for sentiment and not sense here. We haven't got time for sentiment. We're supposed to be evolving as a team. People have cottoned on the way we play from last season. We've caught a lot of teams by surprise. They've got a plan for Newcastle now, and they're putting into place and they're nullifying the way we play. We don't look anywhere near the side that we were last season against these lot. And you can't live in this cloud cuckoo land of, we just want a team that tries, like the shit the Chronicle peddled a couple of weeks ago, right? Yeah, we've got a team that tries, right? But when you succeed and you excel and you get into the position that you're in and you get into the top 4 and you're playing Champions League and you're in that company, right? You've got to invest in the side in key areas. You've got to, upgrade in key positions, right? And you can't just sit and let the lads who were really good for you last season who got you there, right? Because Miggy Almiron is not going to have the season that he had last season. I said that a few weeks ago, and I'll prove to be right. He will not have the same season he had last season. He's not going to end this season on 11 goals and 9 assists or whatever. Will he? Bollocks. I'd be lucky if he gets 2 or 3 goals the way he's shooting with his slippers on at the minute. You know, Alisson aside, obviously, for that game the other day, but most of the time he can't finish his sentence. I don't know what Miggy did today. Apart from that pass come shot that the keeper had to save. Basically, he did sweet FA, in all fairness, mate. What we've got here. So Social joins us saying, welcome to the big boy football. You can't just run, press and counter. You need to play more possession ball. Brighton did that with a goal. 100%. Social. Mark's been talking about whether we need to upgrade on Nick Pope, and I think it is a question that needs to be asked. You're right, George. Poor 2 errors for the first goal. 100%. Jay Devlin's bang on. We're not playing with that intensity either. I don't know where that intensity's gone. Absolutely shocking. Comment there from Geordie. In Canada, several players underperformed. Niue, Joe Linton should play. Bruno needs a rest. Bruno comes out the side for me. Canada, 100%. You know, if he's in that side against Brentford, if it's the same team pretty much, right, Eddie Howe's going to have to start answering some serious questions here, because, you know, why are you picking the same players? You're going to get the same results time and time again. Because Brentford are no mugs either, by the way. Milo saying, worrying when our fans show more passion in the players when we were behind. Yeah, well, the fans are excellent, man. The fans are always excellent, aren't they? But yeah, it's just not good enough. It's absolutely not good enough at all. What else we got here? Oh, yeah, funny comment there. A Saudi dig in there. Boring banner. I won't even read that. I'll send everybody to sleep if I read that shit crack. Absolutely. What we got here? Comment for Robert Pearson saying Tonali didn't want to be at Newcastle. You can see it. Leave him in Milan where he wants to be. He wasn't in Newcastle, mate. He was in Brighton. Get a map. Dozy twat. Let's have a look here. Yeah, there are trolls in the chat, Jay Devlin, 100%. Let's get rid of some of these. If Mark's lurking in the background, admin, get rid of some of these fucking wet wipes being Mark. Sad twats. They've obviously got no decent podcast of their own channel to talk about. What else have we got here? Let's have a look here. Yeah, Ian is bang on. Yeah, missing Willock. Again, no Miley, that's what I said. Yeah, put Longstaff on, who's miles off it. I thought Longstaff did better than Bruno, though, Ian, to be fair. Bruno was absolutely crap. He couldn't kick his own arse. Another comment there. Why isn't Miley playing? Absolutely, mate. 100%. I don't understand why Miley isn't in the squad. Best player in pre-season, gone missing after that. It's almost like another Matty Longstaff job, isn't it? I don't know what's going on there. I think someone needs to ask that question of Eddie in the press conference, but all the journalists seem to be too shit scared of asking him a difficult question because they all want to be his mate. So, you know, I don't know what's going on there either, to be honest with you. The only journalist who seems to be asking difficult questions is Craig Hope, and he's getting battered for it. So, you know, sorry, I don't know what's going on with that one. Comment there from Weird TV Nunu. That's a great name. I'm sorry, but Bruno, since the beginning of the season, yeah, he's been more of a liability. He's lost the ball so many times. I've lost track. He's playing awful. He should have been the one to sub, not Tonali. Tonali was better than Bruno. Couldn't agree with that more, mate. I think Tonali was way better than Bruno today. Bruno was very poor, I thought, as well, against Liverpool as well. But again, people just hang out of his arse and say he's brilliant even when he's not. You know, I love Bruno. Bruno's a class player and he's a great character and all that, but he's been below par for a long time, to be honest with you. And I think he needs to up his game. He's not the Bruno that we first got when he arrived. Like, so, you know, he's not immune from criticism either. Yeah, Alan, I will say how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like some of the other channels do, you know, who just, you know, want to cozy up to the owners and get, you know, one-on-one board meetings. And I don't give a shit about that. I'm going to tell it exactly like it is. If I think we're crap, I'll say we're crap. And that's exactly why we are what we are. And we do what we do. Let the other channels do that if they want to fawn over the owners and say everything is awesome when it's not, because that was shit today. And you got to call it like you see it, mate. 100%. I know Bruno scored. Milo said that. Bruno did score. Yeah. Wilson scored. Sorry, I said Bruno scored. I wish he scored. Fucking hell. What we've got here, scrolling down here, guys, trying to cover this all off. I've got to jump off in a minute because just a quick one, because these things are dreadful with Saturday night planning. Yeah, Sophia, that was truly awful. 100%. I'll try not to swear anymore in case that lad in the comments before is reading his kids a passage from the Old Testament or something. I'll try not to upset him and Rod and Todd Flanders. We've got here 2 corner phrase. We need to get back to basics with the original team that worked and slowly bring players in once you understand the team. I think they need massive changes to coin. I'd drop at least 2 or 3 of them lads. They'd be out of my team because they're not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. I agree with you, Doug. We're not releasing Gordon enough today. I think he was getting frustrated, I think, at times. He's that ball's there all the time at his pace. You play that down the channel. I don't think there's even a handful of fullbacks that can catch up to him in this league outside of probably Kyle Walker and maybe 1 or 2. And we're not releasing them quick enough, mate. So it's a great shout, Doug. I totally agree with you, mate. Yeah, Trolls just puts the red emojis in 100%. Yeah, pick and target. I just don't think that Hall's fit, Marco. I just don't think they're match fit. I think that's the problem with Hall. I think once he is match fit, he'll 100% be the team. I think Target did all right for a guy that was really rusty. He certainly looked a lot better than he did in the preseason game. Arsenal, and he was dreadful. Yeah, Tim, Miley's our star wonder boy. You know, why is he not getting in that squad? I'll tell you something, after the international break, Louis Miley's got to be back in that squad for me, 100%, because you need to put pressure on Bruno. If Bruno looks in the bench and sees that kid sitting there, maybe he'll put his finger out of his arse and do a better job than he is in the pitch right now, because he has been awful. 100%. Yeah, Social Jones is right. Teams have done their homework. We need to find another way to play. You're right, mate. There is no plan B. There's no plan B. We've said that before as Newcastle fans. There is no plan B, and it's not good. It's not good. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't bring on Hall, to be fair to Coyne. Even if he played him in midfield, I thought he could have brought him on as well, but he obviously doesn't want to do that. You know, it's just the way that he is. I've not seen what Eddie's had to say after the game, but I really hope he fronted up and took ownership of that. Because that was absolutely atrocious. It really, really was. And somebody needs to sort that out. He looks out of his depth there, Bill. I don't disagree. Three defeats on the spin. He's been out coached by De Zerbi there, and he's been out coached by Klopp in the game before, and he's made bad decisions. So he's not infallible, is he? He's a football manager, and that's the price on a ticket, unfortunately. Yeah, and David's saying there, you're only as good as your last game, and we've been useless for the last three. I don't disagree with that. I think we've been really, really poor, and questions have to be answered. Yeah, Trolls, I said that. It could be Bruce Ball. It could be Bruce Ball, 100%. I just don't think we're anywhere near as good today. Brighton won't have much of an easier game than that, I don't think. I mean, West Ham gave them a hell of a game, didn't they? Last week, and we just absolutely rolled over. To Coyne saying, yeah, we need to go back to the understood system. Yeah, I think we said that already. I've pulled it up already. What else we got here? I'm just scrolling down. Here we go. What we got here? No top side lacks a 6 and a 10. Yeah, well said, the Zig. Yeah, that's what we needed. I mean, I think James Maddison would have been a good 10 for us. We ain't got a 10. Could have got him for 40 million quid, but no, went and bought Southampton's right back for 30 million quid. Answer me that. Dan Ashworth sitting in the crowd there looking mightily uncomfortable. He needs to answer some questions as well, by the way. You know, he's supposed to be the guy responsible for the transfers. Chris O'Neill, all the goals were avoidable. First goal, howler by Pope. Totally agree with that. Second goal, Burn backed off, give him a free shot. Third one, massive deflection. Target not good enough. Target isn't good enough. Target shouldn't even be in that team. We should have had Lewis Hall signed, sealed, delivered, and match fit to come in and play in that team. And it just shows you the lack of depth as well outside of Botman. Being injured as well. How bad did we look outside Botman today? Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, Kendo, Pope looked really nervous. I agree with that. I thought he was terrible. He just looked shaky. He looked shaky against Liverpool as well. I don't know what's going on with Nick Pope. He's out of the England squad. Maybe he needs a little bit of sports psychology or something, because he doesn't like the Nick Pope that we had last season, which was really, really strange. Has Eddie been fired? Yeah, I was picked up, got flipped over. Some people are amazing. Get back with me when the tune is 8th in November. Whiny little bitches, you know who you are. But you can criticise Farmer. You can criticise me. I'm not saying sack him. I'm not saying sack him at all. He's the best manager I've had since Sir Bobby Robson, but he's making some bad decisions here, and he's persevering with players who should be out of the team. And I think he's got to answer those questions as a manager. That's the price on his ticket. Yeah, I'm glad you're here for a good rant, Sophia. I didn't want to turn it into a rant, but I've just been really annoyed by the whole thing. That was just really depressing today. Absolutely shit by Newcastle. I really, really was. Again, John saying he can't understand why we spent our limited cash on 3 players to play the same position on the left wing, nearly 140 million on 3 players, when only 2 can play on the left wing every week. Yeah, that's a fair comment, John. I think these transfers need to be analysed. And like I say, we're not going to sit back and say everything's amazing. I think we're going to have to ask some serious questions about this. Yeah, as you say there, Andy, I love you how, but he needs to change tactics. He does. He needs to have a plan B. He needs to do something because we can't keep playing like this. We will get battered off teams, absolutely battered. Let's just see if we get a couple more comments, guys, before we go. Why is Trippier taking free kicks and corners? Because that's what he does, David. I mean, Tonali's got to go over and ask for one, I suppose, if he's, if he wants to have it. But someone's going to have to ask him for the ball. But I mean, Trippier does whip in a decent cross, but I can't remember last time I scored from a header when I'm saying that, mate. To be fair, as soon as it left my lips, I'm questioning that sentence, to be honest with you. Yeah, we've got a comment there from our competition winner, I think it is. Our midfield, we're under a blanket, 100%. Terrible. Alan saying Miley, Tonali, and Longstaff. That's not a bad shout. That's the kind of squad rotation that you need when people aren't performing. It's as simple as that, really. Allowed to say no Tonali, no party. And judging by your little badge there, I think you're a big Tonali fan. But I thought you did all right today. What's this? William saying Miley 17 preseason means fuck all. Evan Ferguson's 18, William. So argument's gone there, mate. Wish they would have loaned him out to a side, would have played him week in, week out. Fuck that. Play him on our side, mate. You do better than that midfield today. You've got to give these kids a chance. If they're good enough, they're old enough. Wayne Rooney, Steven Gerrard, Evan Ferguson today. You know, we're not as good of a squad that we can just let 17-year-old players with bags of quality rot in the reserves and under 21s. Eddie Howe's got to look at that player and got to wonder whether he's up for it. I agree with you, Maggot. Yeah, Maddison was the guy we should have got. I think he's been sensational for Spurs. I think he unlocks defenses, and in games like that, he's the kind of player that you need. And we don't get him. We don't have him. So we've got a comment there and a donation as well from Weird TV. And thank you so much for that, mate. Really appreciate that. Bruno, so far this season, liability, not an asset. And yet Eddie sub Tonali when we're playing better and got subbed. Yeah, the honeymoon is over and he's taking a good look in the mirror. I do think Bruno needs to have a look at that. Never mind getting your knickers in a knot about people criticising you. You're going to have to start answering questions of why your performances are so bad. And thank you very much for the donation, mate. Yeah, thank you, Tim. Yeah, really appreciate you liking what I've got to say, mate. It's all fine with the comments. You're only here for the swearing, Sophia. Fucking right you are. Unlike the Bible bashers you were upset before. Listen, Mark puts it in the description all the time. You know, if you want to go watch somebody talk to a bunch of 12-year-olds, there's another kid you can watch. You all know him. I'm sure you watch his channel as well. But I do let the occasional F or Jeff come out. That's just the way it is. So, right, scrolling down here, let's have a look. A couple more comments before we shoot off, guys, because I've got stuff to do. It's Saturday night. Dan Ashworth is a fraud, 150 million quid spent. We look worse. Eddie's showing he can't manage without Tom Boy Jason next to him. I don't know about that, mate. He is a good manager, but he's got some serious questions that he needs to answer here because we did not look good at all today. Yeah, absolutely. Lee, definitely need a shuffle. Jason says the poor selection. Yeah, I don't know why you just keep playing players that are just giving you the same output. They really, really are. Stop swearing. I'll stop watching. I love you, Doug. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that, mate. It is in the description, as Mark says. It's in the description, man, honestly. I think we've had comments from people before, but it is what it is. You know, we're bloody 40-year-old blokes, you know, go to the boozer, you hear this kind of language all the time, mate. We are just a social media boozer. That's basically what we are. Sadly, I haven't got a drink. I need a drink after watching that shit. So let's have a couple more comments, guys, and then we'll shoot off. What have we got here? Ian saying our owner's made a mistake in Ashworth. What's a strange one? Give us your best team. Says Aidan. At the minute, the best team, I would say, Pope, because I've got another goalkeeper, Trippier, Shaw, Botman, Lewis Hall. On the strength of the performances, I would go Tonali when he's fit, Willock and Joe Linton. I'd drop Bruno. And I would go Barnes on the left, Gordon on the right, and Isak through the middle is what I would go for. That's my best team. Miguel Almiron will be nowhere near my team. Absolutely not. Nowhere near. I'm going to have one more comment, guys, and then I'm going to shoot off. Yeah, well done, Rich. We did sign the wrong Leicester player. I mean, it's a bit harsh on Harvey Barnes. I think he's had some good cameos, but Maddison was quality. And if you could have got him for 10 million quid more than you could have got a right back from Southampton, we made a serious mistake, in my opinion. And Dan Ashworth has to answer that question. Sorry, Doug, are you 60, mate? Well, you're wearing it well in your picture, mate. Yeah, Peter Griffin. Brilliant, mate. Right, that's me all done for this evening, guys. Shit game, shit result. Me and Mark are going to be back Monday night with what's going on, and we'll get right into this transfer window and talk about exactly where we think the holes are in the squad. You guys probably know where it is. I've had a bit of a moan about some of it tonight as well. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. We always appreciate it, and your comments. It always helps the post matches flow. If you're new to the channel and you haven't checked us out before, smash subscribe, come and join us. We're over 5,000 subscribers, loads of room for you here on Evermore. We have the live show Monday at 10 p.m, which a lot of you tune into. We also have the pop-up videos like the ones you just watched, normally transfer rumor videos, but as the window's shut, that's all done and dusted now. But we'll have a lot more content for you coming in the next few weeks. And we want some answers to these questions anyhow. I've not watched it yet, but I will be watching it. And let's see if he fronts up about that horrendous performance. Have a cracking evening wherever you are, everyone. Have a beer and forget about all that shite. I will see you later. Have a good one.